Yo, 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 welcome back, everybody. Episode 4. Seth, Noah, getting closer, about just
3 weeks. Oh, two and a
two,
half weeks.
two Thursdays away.
Yeah,
Two
two Thursdays from
Thursdays
this week.
away
Yeah.
from the first game. So we had our draft on Wednesday, the 17th, 18th. Yeah, the 18th. And we had pick 7 overall. We have 2 leagues for the Victory Lap leagues. So the other side did on Tuesday. That seemed like it went all right. Today we're going to talk about the draft. We had review some questionable picks, some great steals, stuff that you could use in your future drafts coming up. I know these next 2 weeks, a lot of people are going to be just hammering out drafts. Between the 3 of us, we probably have like 7 to 10 different drafts still coming, or 6 or 8. I think we've each done a couple so far, but I think we did really well. A little different, but we kind of stuck to our guns. We kind of stuck to the advice we were giving as well, because what's the point of even giving out advice if we're not going to stick to it ourselves? So we're just gonna pull up the ESPN page. We're using ESPN Fantasy. Noah and Seth and I, we all prefer Yahoo, but Michael had this league set up on ESPN already, so we just kind of rolled with it. Like I said, we had the 7th pick. And what were you guys' first reactions when you saw that Zeke was still there for us at 7?
It was tough because there were a lot of good options out there that we were talking about. I know we were kind of talking on Barkley as well if he fell to us, but it was like I think it was the 5th pick where, like, if Zeke falls to us, we have to take him because at that point his value is very good. I think there were a couple of questionable picks ahead of us, but I think it worked out for us.
Yeah. So speaking of that, just kind of looking at the first round overall, McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Kamara, very standard. Like, you probably see either Kamara or Derrick Henry there most of the time. Either pick is pretty fine. I prefer Kamara at 3 if it's a full PPR league. But then our friend Will, is a huge Buffalo Bills fan, and he's born with Buffalo because he's a little nerd, and he took Stephon Diggs, number 4 overall. Definitely probably one of the biggest reaches of the entire draft, but he was actually on the live stream during the draft as well. So if you got to see him, that's Will. I mean, there's nothing else to say besides that this is a pure fan pick. So I respect it, I guess. Doesn't really help your team out.
Yeah. Got to get your guys, I guess, I mean, I don't argue Diggs is a first-round talent, but I'm not taking him over literally any of the guys he took him over probably in the first round.
Right.
Maybe Aaron Jones.
If I'm pick 5 and I get Derrick Henry, I am
right.
I am so happy. That's a gift from God himself.
I'm praying that happens to me next weekend.
Yeah. So I mean, that's probably the reason we got Zeke, because the Pack is back guy, our friend Andrew Pecci. He was actually on auto draft for a decent portion of the draft. So if Stephon Diggs never got picked, he would have auto picked Zeke, or Zeke would have gone at 5. So thank you, Will, for allowing us to get Zeke. Really appreciate that. I think the rest of the first round is very fine.
Normal.
Eckler at 9 might be a tiny bit early. I love Eckler, but maybe a tiny bit early just because they have a bunch of offensive weapons on the Chargers. What do you guys think?
Don't say that. I got Eckler in my other draft.
Yeah, but you got him later. You got him later than 9.
Yeah, I got him at 12. So
I just think 9's a little early.
Yeah, no, I think, like I said, when I wrote the blog, I was kind of like, no first round pick is going to be like a bad pick. I mean, these are all studs bearing they're healthy and stuff, which that's what it's going to come down to. So it's kind of just preference,
right?
In my opinion, most of the time.
What about you, Noah? Any more thoughts on the
I
first round?
definitely it'd be very hard on me to pass over Tyreek Hill there at 9.
I 100% agree. Or even Aaron Jones.
Aaron
Like,
Jones, yeah. Nick
Yeah.
Chubb, I would easily take Eckler over. I might even think about Eckler over Aaron Jones. They're pretty close. I think Eckler has a more PPR upside.
that's fair.
Aaron Jones probably gets like more handoffs though.
100%.
That's
Yeah,
kinda how
and
I
I
see
think I think Chubb's definitely. I mean, I think Chubb's a better back than honestly maybe even Zeke or Barkley. In my to me,
Like
but
from a
Kareem
talent,
Hunt is not in Cleveland. Nick Chubb should be like probably 5 or 6. I think.
I was gonna say a
yeah, I would
top
say
5
even
pick.
4. I would say like 4 or 5. I mean,
Yeah.
McCaffrey, Cook, Kamara, maybe Henry, and then Chubb.
Dude, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Nick Chubb's skill like talent level is right there with like Dalvin Cook.
Like if
honestly.
Kareem Hunt happens to get injured, like that's like the
That's the pick of the draft. 100%.
Yeah.
but it's unpredictable.
All right, so besides that, I don't think that's a crazy first round. Obviously, the
No.
Stephon Diggs pick makes it a little wild. So moving over to round 2, to the right of that first box. Obviously, snake draft. I'm assuming most people watching this, listening, know what snake draft means. It whoever picks the 12th overall spot gets the first pick of the second round. So it basically is the opposite order. So the person that picked 12 took Nick Chubb, and then they went again, got DeAndre Hopkins, which I've seen DeAndre Hopkins go in a couple first rounds. I think DeAndre Hopkins is a super interesting player in fantasy football this year. No one really seems to be able to I mean, obviously you're not missing by more than 8 or 7 spots, but in the first 2 rounds, that's a big difference. So I don't think people quite know how to accurately like set his ADP this year.
I think that's like right about where he should go. The only pick I'd say maybe over him in that round is Travis Kelce,
Yeah.
but I think DeAndre Hopkins is right on the bottom of that like tier 1 of wide receivers.
Yeah.
He's gonna definitely give you the numbers for wide receiver 1.
I'll give it to Michael though. He's definitely like a little old school. Like I definitely like understand Michael like not wanting to take a tight end with one of his first 2 picks, especially like being at pick 12 and you're gonna have to wait 22 more picks until you get to go again. So I understand that for him. What about you, Seth?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty normal second round as well. None of the guys that I see just on this list like stick out to me like, oh, that's way too early. Maybe
Yeah.
Josh Jacobs. I know we kind of all kind of have our Josh Jacobs dislike, but it's hard to. It's like I said with same with round 1. It's hard to hate any of these picks right here.
Yeah, I got Josh Jacobs. I wouldn't mind Josh Jacobs like middle-ish 4th round kind of area. Especially if I go wide receiver heavy at the beginning. Like if I have 2 wide receivers and 1 running back, like if I went RB, wide receiver, and then Josh Jacobs is still in the 4th round, like I think that's very decent. But end of the second round, not ideal. But I think a lot of people have different opinions on what Kenyon Drake's role is going to be, I guess. Full PPR though, it definitely lowers Josh Jacobs a little bit more. If it was a standard league, I think Josh Jacobs could go in the 3rd round, middle backside 3rd round with not as much scrutiny. So let's talk about our pick. We had the 6th pick of the second round, the 18th overall pick. We took Jonathan Taylor, Colts running back. Again, kind of felt like a very easy, obvious pick for us in this spot after Joe Mixon, Antonio Gibson. I mean, Jonathan Taylor not really leaving the turn of round 1, round 2 very often. So we kind of had a very easy pick again in the second round. What did you guys think when he fell to us?
Jonathan Taylor last year was like the 6th overall scoring running back in fantasy, and we got him at what, like the 12th running back?
Yeah.
I
think the biggest thing was people are scared about Wentz being out, and now it looks like he'll be ready for week 1. With Quentin Nelson too, but I just saw a report that he's practicing tomorrow too. So I'm not too worried about that. Even if it was for a couple of games, like
The only difference to me is that Marlon Mack is back healthy. I really don't think that's going to make that big of a difference because he's easily the best running back.
Yeah.
Now
I
he
think
might
it's
get a share of catches, but
I think it's a super similar spot to like Nick Chubb. Like you have a really good backup, you have a really good defense, so your offense is going to be pretty run heavy for the most part. But Jonathan Taylor's ADP is a little bit lower, so I feel like that's almost better value at that point. But like very similar spot. Both have good, like I said, both have good backup running backs, really good defenses, okay quarterbacks, but definitely looking to be run first. So I was super happy with us with this pick. Then after us, maybe the only like outside of like Josh Jacobs, maybe David Montgomery. Will took David Montgomery, maybe a little early there. I think I definitely like since he went. Oh, but that's the thing. Since he took Stephon Diggs in the first
Diggs.
round, he kind of felt the pressure to take an RB in that spot because the best running backs left after in that spot were Dave Montgomery, Josh Jacobs, DeAndre
J.K.
Swift.
Dobbins.
So he was probably feeling a little pressure to take a running back in that spot, but he probably should have just gone all
Yeah.
out for receivers at that point.
Yeah, I mean, look at the guys that you passed on just below Jefferson,
Jefferson,
Keenan Allen, and then you
and
look in
Metcalf.
round 3, Metcalf and AJ Brown.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll look at all the overall teams at the end. I'm not trying to shit on Will's team at all. Will's team actually like ends up looking pretty like wholesome, like all around. Like he'll probably, or we got 6 of 12 in the playoffs. So we'll see. We'll project that when we get there. We'll go through these next couple of rounds a little faster. So round 3, DK Metcalf, AJ Brown, DeAndre Swift, and then Terry McLaurin went right before us, and we had 2 running backs, and we took this. There was 60 seconds per pick, and we almost knew right away that we were going to take J.K. Dobbins, but we like took every second just to like kind of think about it.
Very
process.
close to taking CeeDee Lamb, if I remember.
Yeah, I think the hesitation was that we already had Zeke and
You're right.
we didn't 2 Cowboys.
But we talked about J.K. Dobbins in 2 of the first episodes. A lot of people are worried about Gus Edwards and Lamar taking carries away, but full PPR, J.K. Dobbins, like this is a great PPR running back to have middle of the 3rd round. And at this point, we're pretty much set on running backs, and there's still plenty of decent wide receivers out there. And we'll talk about how we evaluated them once we get to those rounds. But nothing really crazy in this round. I think Darren Waller, Will got great value on Darren Waller, 4th pick in the 3rd round, 3.04, great value.
Speaking
I
of
was hoping we could get one of like AJ Brown, Waller, A Rob, or McLaurin. Gallup.
I think we were gonna set a McLaurin, and then I think
we were gonna take
the auto draft took him from our hands.
Yeah, our friend Petchy, the pack is back, went right before us, and we're like, fuck, we're not gonna get Terry because he's the next ADP. So we just started looking at JK and kind of stuck to our guns. But like I said, but nothing really else crazy went down in this round. Mr. Whitfield took Patrick Mahomes, 8th pick in the 3rd round. I think that's almost totally fine.
Yeah.
I don't really think we seriously considered taking Patrick Mahomes right there. I kind of threw it out like Patty's there, but like we definitely weren't gonna take Patrick Mahomes. I don't have any other notes for round 3.
No, I think the best value here. I think Darren Waller. I like Mike Evans in the last pick. That's a pretty nice pick for Michael there too.
Yeah, that definitely helps with because who was this? He took
Kelsey and he took Hopkins and he took Hopkins and Chubb.
Hopkins. So that helps his wide receiver balance out a little bit more.
Yeah,
Too.
I do like Mike Evans there, kind of leading that into his pick in the 4th round. Adam Thielen, I don't know. That's a tough one. He was very inconsistent last year, and there were a lot of other decent options like Robert Woods. You
I
can
think both the Rams receivers.
yeah, like
I
you
would take
could
over
have
him.
taken like Miles Sanders as a pair to go with Chubb. It would have been terrible. I mean, yeah, even Daryl Henderson. Like we saw how much the Rams used Cam Akers last year.
Yeah.
I think that could have been a good pick there as well. But I am absolutely stoked with getting Cooper Kupp there.
All right, so we mentioned that we were going to talk about this like it came up during this episode. Seth and I are in a league with a bunch of our old IU friends. We couldn't find a good time to do, and this is advice for anyone that's struggling to find a good time to do their draft. Seth and someone else came up with an idea. We're just using a Google spreadsheet or Google Doc to whenever anybody has time to make their pick, they just go on the Google Doc and they make their pick. So everyone has like a decent amount of time for each pick. Like there's no real time limit, which is a little different, but that's what we're doing. I have the 2nd overall pick, and I have so far I have Dalvin Cook and Terry McLaurin, and I'm up 3rd round, 2nd pick, and there's the best players left are AJ Brown, Darren Waller,
Allen Robinson.
Yeah, CeeDee Lamb, David Montgomery, DeAndre Swift. And right now I have a running back and a wide receiver.
I honestly like Darren Waller. I say Darren Waller, AJ Brown. I like.
I mean, because Waller's a wide receiver 1. You got to look at it like that. I mean, I know he's a tight end. You can't play him as a wide receiver, but he really is a wide receiver 1. And it's tough.
The receivers are so good this year.
Yeah, the Raiders.
If anything, like honestly, for you, I would go between Waller and a running back. I know it might be a little early, but
I think with Dalvin,
I don't love Montgomery that much. I know he's a Bear, and you guys might like him more, but
no, I don't think his value is really the best up there. I still think he's like at end of the 3rd, beginning of the 4th value.
I might as well just tell you I'm basically between AJ Brown or Darren Waller.
Yeah, you should be. I think at that point you kind of just go like, who would you rather watch and cheer for? I
think there's a lot less threats for targets with the Waller pick. Like they're
exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Like when you're watching the Raiders, like it seems like Darren Waller gets the ball almost every time. When it's not like
and that's a good point that Noah made too. Like if you're between guys that you're drafting, kind of which play would you rather see, or root for in some cases? Because that, if you're gonna be deciding between 2 guys and you're just like, I hate this play or I hate the team or they're never on prime time, then. But if you're really between 2 guys and you don't really have one strong way over one of the others, then that's a fair point to make.
You gotta add to the idea of like Darren Waller's in a division with the Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Broncos, and none of them really have like a good coverage linebacking core. I mean, some people don't really think about it that much in depth, but like if you're really debating, like Darren Waller doesn't go up against many good linebackers like in his division, so that's 6-year matchups right there. And I feel like in divisional matchups in general, like people have like these players try and do more. I don't know if it's do more or like have more motivation maybe to like win their games. Obviously, they're going to try and win all their games, but just adds that little spark in there, AJ Brown, I mean, yeah, he's got Julio.
Right, and Derrick Henry. I mean, there's a lot of different guys on the Titans that could pick each other's
AJ Brown, I mean, his
Seth, could you cross that out for me, by the way?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You've got the Colts, the secondary, the Jags secondary, and the Texans secondary. So Colts secondary is the only one that's really like tough, I think. So you could really not go wrong with divisional matchups there either.
Yeah, good, better defense matchups. The other thing I was gonna say is a lot of the time Darren Waller's been going like like middle of this. I've seen him go middle of the second round plenty too. And honestly, the only two tight ends I'd be willing to go early for this year are Waller and Travis Kelce, just because George Kittle's coming off an injury season. I don't want to spend a early or mid third round pick on Kittle this year coming off an injury. Lose out on that on a
I
tight
think
end.
also if you're looking at like red zone, the Titans have Derrick Henry when they're inside the 10-yard line.
Exactly. Yeah.
And now they have Julio and even Ryan Tannehill ran in a couple.
Yeah, he did. That
But,
pissed me off. I had Derrick Henry in 2 leagues last year. That would piss me off so
but
bad.
like the Raiders, like you're looking for Darren Waller.
Yeah.
Maybe Josh Jacobs will get some care. Their O-line's so bad though. I think it's gonna be even worse this year where they're gonna have to like force feed Darren Waller in the red zone.
Sure. I love it. All right, back to our draft. Appreciate the help. Going into the 4th round, we have 3 running backs at this point. Pretty obviously taking the wide receiver in this spot. And it really hurt because we really thought we were gonna get. I mean, I was pretty happy with Cooper Kupp got back to us, but I really wasn't upset Thielen went. I was kind of we probably would have taken Robert Woods instead of Cooper Kupp, right?
Possibly. I think so.
It's tough. If my drafts, it's like hopefully one of them's gone because it does make me decide because they're about equal for me.
Dude, like all 4 of these guys, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, Amari Cooper, and Tyler Lockett, they're all in that spot where like the 1 and 2 receivers are like very close together and like target share, how much the quarterback likes them. Obviously this year it's a little bit of a question mark because Matt Stafford's new quarterback for the Rams, but I imagine it's going to be pretty similar to years past.
Yeah. I think Chris Godwin was the biggest steal in this round. I think late in the 4th round, he has potential to put up like top 10 receiver numbers. So
I agree. Yep.
That's a great value pick there. My least favorite pick would probably be, I'm not a fan of Chase Edmonds in this early in the draft, round 4. I don't know. The Cardinals' run offense is so like.
It's Kyler Murray.
It is Kyler Murray. And Chase Edmonds is the starting running back. So that'll be a decent. I think he'll be a good running back too on your team, but not round 4.
I love Kyler Murray in the 5th round. I still think end of the 4th is pretty good. And then what was the other one? Josh Allen, backside of the 4th round is great in my opinion.
That was a good pick for Will. I think adding to like having Diggs.
Yep.
And being a Bills fan, like having that Allen and Diggs combo.
And then I think the biggest potential pick on this list is probably Daryl Henderson, just because you don't really know what that offense is going to look like with the injury that Cam Akers took. So it'll be interesting to see how his role plays out moving on from that injury. Didn't really like the Adam Thielen pick, but
it's not a terrible pick. I mean, Thielen gets the targets.
I like him better. I like him better in probably the 5th round.
Or late, maybe late 4, but
yeah.
And then this gets very interesting for us going into the 5th round. Kind of still thinking wide receiver. We need a wide receiver. We have 3 running backs and 1 receiver.
I do remember Brandon Ayuk was like our main target.
Yeah, and I think we got snagged again.
Auto draft screwed us again.
Yeah. Before we get to the fact that we took Lamar Jackson. Oh my gosh. This girl took Justin Fields.
Justin Fields. Yeah.
Pick 5 of the 5th round.
I think that's more of an inexperienced pick. You're a Bears fan.
I mean, she was doing a good job. We'll get to the full teams after, but she had a pretty solid draft out. Maybe she has other leagues and she just really wanted Justin Fields. So I think once Justin Fields starts, he's going to be a legit fantasy option. It's just in the 5th round. No, I think there's great value across the board on a lot of these picks in the 5th round. I think Deontay Johnson is pretty solid.
I I think this is a decent spot for Julio. I know I've been.
I think that's a
trashing
good
him
spot for Julio.
I've been
Yeah.
trashing Julio a lot because of his injuries, but I mean, when he was healthy, he was like a first round talent.
I think Mark Andrews, end of the 5th round, is fantastic value for
Yeah.
a tight end.
I think that was a good pick.
Miles
I think Aaron Rodgers was a little early.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think you can see Aaron Rodgers in a lot of leagues go into the 7th round. So I agree. A little early for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Any
we
value
got the last real running back that is going to have noticeably like difference making rushing points and rushing numbers with Lamar. But as we mentioned, if Deontay Johnson or Brandon Ayuk would have gotten to us, we probably would have gone receiver.
Yeah.
And then had 2 receivers, 2 or 3 running backs. We just lost Seth. Well. We'll keep going. He'll be back. He'll pop up if he joins back. So just keep an eye out for that. I don't really have any other notes for the 5th round. Pretty decent round of fantasy drafting.
Yeah.
Um,
So let's see, 6th round. This is where it gets tough because like we were debating between all these receivers.
Yeah.
We were debating between all these receivers, and we're just like, screw it, let's take Lamar. And it worked out because I think Odell here is a good value pick. Because yeah, he gets hurt, but like even when healthy was like a 1st or 2nd round receiver. So I'm willing to take that risk on him based off our options. Like it was either him or Claypool, I believe.
right.
We were debating on. And obviously we had our quarterbacks went to worry about Dak, Russ. The running backs at that point are very, very average, below average. So
Yeah.
I think Odell was definitely the pick, like the good pick there. I think the only pick I can think of that maybe we could have done was like a Kyle Pitts. I know Nagy, you weren't too high on Pitts, were you?
No, he was on my bus list.
Yeah.
Were you on more of the bus list, or was he more of just he was getting taken too early though?
That's like my definition for like bus or pickouts,
yeah.
like people that are going to perform over or above their ADP average. So
Yeah, I think
end of the 6th round is pretty.
I wouldn't have hated if we took Kyle Pitts there because our tight end situation is not the greatest,
Yeah.
but
I think
I'm fine with Odell.
Yeah, and there was still some good tight ends available, like on backside, and half the teams at this point had taken a tight end, or maybe not half the teams, like probably 4 or 5 of the teams. So we're okay with waiting.
I think the biggest thing about this round was the person that took Justin Fields ended up still getting Russell Wilson. So it worked out. Yeah, it was a waste of a 5th round pick, but her team, her starting lineup's still pretty solid from what I remember.
Yeah.
We'll obviously get to that.
Yeah,
but
it's part of the fantasy gods giving her Derrick Henry at 5.
Yeah.
And then our buddy Brett, huge Chargers fan, gets Justin Herbert right at the end of the 6th round.
Yeah, to pair with Keenan Allen. So there you go.
Pretty good pick. Mike Davis, we want real quick, like what's your thoughts on Mike Davis? I mean, backside of the 6th round, I don't think that's terrible.
No.
I
think Mike Davis is like right on the edge of like running backs I will take at some point and probably start.
Right. I agree.
He's going to get the workload because who the heck else is there?
He's in like that ADP range where it's like, okay, whoever's like the last person to take their 2nd running back is probably going to have Mike Davis starting on.
Right. Yep. Agreed. Him or like, I don't know. Well, we can
one of the Jaguars running backs,
which is Will, because he went wide receiver, running back, wide receiver.
Kareem Hunt even. I could probably start Kareem Hunt at my number 2.
Yeah.
And like feel okay with it as long as everything else is good. But all right, any other comments on the 6th round?
All right. After these next 2 rounds, we'll go like team by team.
So
see everyone's bench players.
Judy, I think, is another pretty.
I think this is one of our best value picks of the entire.
Well, I mean, we were debating last round.
Yeah,
Judy and Odell. We got both. So that.
Yeah, and Judy ended up falling because we were between Odell and Jerry.
I think my favorite pick in this round, I really like TJ Hawkinson. I had him last year.
Yeah.
And with them having no receivers, Jared Goff's just going to rely on him. So.
Oh, we said we were going to take TJ Hawkinson if he fell.
Yeah. Yeah, I do remember that. And obviously he didn't. So it worked out because we got the other guy we were debating on. Looking after our pick, there's really I have no regrets on taking Judy there at all.
Yeah.
It's
I know
it's crazy that Noah Fant went before Jerry Judy, in my opinion. Like
before Hawkinson. I don't like that either.
Yeah.
No.
I think Hawkinson, honestly, I could see Hawkinson making the case over Andrews. I know that's a hot take, but
Brett's a Chargers fan, so he sees he watches the Broncos play more than any of us. So maybe he has a little insider
Yeah, I think Noah Fant's gonna have a good season. I would take TJ over him.
Yeah.
And then you see Ryan Tannehill and Tom Brady go at the end of the 7th round.
I like Brady over Tannehill. I think Brady's got the more throwing touchdown potential. Tannehill can get some rushing stats for you. But
I think both of those, I think that's why I was saying I think Aaron Rodgers is maybe just above having them in fantasy. So I was thinking Aaron Rodgers beginning middle 7th round. So I'm not too upset with I mean those are fine.
All right, round 8. So this is where I really wanted to snag Michael Thomas here. We sadly didn't get him because but when you have your starting receivers, a guy with an upside like Michael Thomas
in the 8th round
on your bench, that is a steal regardless. Even if it
100%.
doesn't work out, I have no regrets taking him.
Right.
Yeah, because we would just need him to be healthy by playoff time and the end of the
exactly. If you could get Michael Thomas and insert him into that wide receiver 2 or flex spot just because you have him. I mean that's what wins you the league.
Right. And that's the other great thing. We talked about this in one of the episodes during mocks. The safer, not even safe, but I'll just say safe, but
Jarvis Landry. My dilemma is right here: Jarvis Landry versus Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas can win you a league. Jarvis Landry, he can get you 10 points a week.
Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith is another guy you don't know, so you're always going to think of that upside. He's a rookie, but he's going to be a top option there. So that's a good spot to take him. I would never take Devontae Smith and immediately put him in my starting lineup. So
yeah,
those are the guys you want to take right when you put them on your bench, where it's these are the guys that could win you the league in the long run.
If you look at our first 4 rounds of picks, Zeke, Jonathan Taylor, J.K. Dobbins, Cooper Kupp, I mean, those are pretty fucking safe picks. And when you take safer picks in the early parts of the draft, you
should let you reach for these kind of guys.
It can let you get a little crazy in round 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe make a riskier play because you're so much more anchored with your earlier picks that you're going to be super consistent week by week. But then if you get crazy at the beginning, you have to make safer picks on the middle and the backside of the draft. And you can't get maybe those guys that end up being a top 15 wide receiver, a top 15 running back in the 8th, 9th, 10th round because you have to settle for safety.
All right, let's finish these last 2 rounds and then switch over. So Mike Gesicki, I mean, at that point, it's not a terrible pick in round 9. That's what we get for waiting 9 rounds to take a tight end. We definitely would have taken Dallas Goedert, but of course, auto draft screwed us again.
Yeah, we would have loved Dallas Goedert.
That would have been a great pick.
I feel like we all kind of agreed that Mike Gesicki was the last of that 3rd tier of tight ends, and we didn't want to dip into the 4th tier tight ends because if you look after our pick there's no tight ends taken the rest of the time. And then in round 11,
we got Irv Smith.
I think. Well, I'm pretty high on Irv Smith this year, though.
Yeah, I love.
Not to be bank on as your starter, but a guy with upside.
Yeah. We see guys like Corey Davis in the 9th round, Antonio Brown. I think that is fantastic value.
I'm a big fan of Debo Samuel this year. Obviously, if he's healthy, I think if he's healthy, he is the same value as Brandon Ayuk because when he was healthy, he was the number 1 guy there.
Right. The
Obviously,
only
him getting hurt is what led Ayuk to become the breakout that he was. So now he's got all the attention, and Debo Samuel's just kind of sitting there around 9. Like, I think he could still be their top option there.
Yeah, it's an interesting spot with like Trey Lance, new quarterback. What kind of direction are they going to push this offense into? Like, as of right now, I could definitely see it being like a little more like run first kind
And
of offense.
there's always like those little, quarterbacks got their favorite target talks, and you never know. Like, there could be some more chemistry between him and someone. Like, who was their quarterback? I know Jimmy G was hurt for most of the
Nick
year.
Mullins.
Nick Mullins only threw to Brandon Ayuk, so that was nice because Kittle was out, Debo was out, so he didn't have much of a choice. But I don't know. Once Jimmy G came back, because I remember Brandon Ayuk in the final week had 1 point, and I believe Jimmy G played that. I don't remember, but I think Debo has a lot of upside of where he's going.
Mm-hmm. The 10th round looks even more fun than the 9th round. You see guys like Matthew Stafford, Mike Williams. We took Darnell Mooney, wide receiver 2 for the Bears. Nyheim Hines, Joe Burrow. I think there's a lot of players that will make final like postseason roster.
I think Joe Burrow could be a starting quarterback, like fantasy quarterback, to consistently get you 20 points a week.
That is Ryan Aronofsky's team. He's a big college football guy, so that doesn't really surprise me that he took a younger quarterback.
Let's go to. Do you want to go to?
Yeah, let's go team by team.
Do you want to go team by team, or do you want to go to like matchups?
We'll peek at the matchups at the end, like after we'll probably we'll look at each team for about a minute each. Sorry for the profanity. I curse all the time, so I don't know why the fuck I even said that. Tucker right in the pussy is Michael Whitfield. Nick Chubb, DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, so his running backs are Nick Chubb and Damian Harris. Not super ideal. I'm just gonna like run through the teams and like say their starting lineup, and then I'm gonna give like a ranking out of 10. 10 being like the best, obviously. Damian Harris isn't a great RB spot, but I think Mark Andrews for a 5th round pick is insanely good. But DeAndre Hopkins, Mike Evans, Adam Thielen, wide receiver, top 3. Tom Brady, pretty good. DJ Chark could take that spot away from Thielen in the flex if DJ Chark could be healthy. So potential is really good right there. Devin Singletary, Henry Ruggs, Daniel Jones, Philip Lindsay. So his bench isn't really offering him a lot of high ceiling. So overall, I will give Michael's team a 6.9 out of 10.
Do you want to do like, sorry to interrupt, but do you want to do like, okay, then Noah gets the next team, then I get the next team? Just so we get.
That's cool. So like initially, I'm going to say Michael comes in like finishes like 7th or 8th and misses the playoff like barely.
I think that's pretty accurate. If you check out the blog, which I think is going to be posted tonight, I do initial power rankings, and I put Michael near that range. So I won't give too many more spoilers, but
yeah. Check Seth's blog out. It'll be tweeted out sometime Sunday or Monday. Today's the 22nd, so check the Twitter page. All right, who wants to do? This is Zach's team. So who wants to do Zach's team?
I can do Zach's. It's a team I like. I think it's one of the top 4 teams, in my opinion. I didn't like the Josh Jacobs pick, as I've mentioned before. But I really like. It's hard to not like McCaffrey, obviously. But DK and Julio and Pitts as his wide receiver tight ends. I think that's a great trio right there. Partner with that with Kyler, who gets you running back stats at the quarterback position. It's a team I really do like. And I mean, yeah, there's some upside on the bench, I would say. With Trevor Lawrence, who knows, he could break out. He might be a trade piece for him. Michael Gallup. I know he was the talk of the town last year, and he kind of faded. But who knows if Cooper or CD gets hurt, there's a shot he initiates himself as wide receiver too there.
Yeah. I mean, 8th round is
A little early, maybe like
This is our,
10th or 11th.
This is our week 1 opponent, by the way.
yeah, we play Zach week 1.
So
All right, Seth,
But, yeah.
overall, what do you give it?
Like I said, probably one of my top 4 teams, in my opinion. I know I'm maybe a little bit higher than some of you guys, but I'll just give it, out of 10, give it an 8.1.
That's a little
it's
lower.
so specific with your decimals.
That's a little low. Yeah, we're like Dave Portnoy writing pizzas.
Yeah, well, then nothing could be a 10 except our team, right?
Yeah, I think a 9 is like you're looking at like a top 2 team. So I was for Zach's team, I was thinking like an 8.4, 8.5. McCaffrey gives you such a huge advantage. But all right, no, you want to do Ryan's team?
Sure. So I really like this team, to be honest. I said last time how high I was on Justin Jefferson. And, it's a good steal for those that don't take Dalvin Cook early, because you obviously don't want 2 Vikings with your first 2 picks. So I think going from Kamara to Justin Jefferson is about as good of a first 2 rounds you can do with the 3rd pick. DeAndre Swift, I think, is going to have a pretty good workload this year because AP is not there anymore, is he? I don't think he is. Even if he is, I know they got Jamal Williams, but DeAndre Swift's gonna be I think he'll be a good RB2. It's tough because that area in the draft is like where people panic to get another running back, and the value is really just not there for any of them. So that's why I'd say it's a good pick there because of the options you have if you're really trying to go running back. And the fact that he got Chris Godwin with his 4th pick is mind-blowing to me because, like I said, he can put up top 10 numbers. Myles Gaskin in the flex, I mean, debating between him and Chase Claypool, that's really a good problem to have, I think, because one of them will put up good numbers for you. I think after a couple of weeks, you'll kind of see who will be more consistent. But Hawkinson's a steal in the 7th round. I'm high on him. I'm not high on having 2 Detroit Lions in my starting lineup. That's really the only thing about it I would say I don't like. And I like Hurts and Burrow as a combination too. I think one of them is going to have a breakout season. I'd probably pick Burrow if anything. He's got a lot of good targets this year. As long as he has time to throw the ball, I think he's going to be great value there in the 10th round. So overall, I really like this team. And you got the Steelers defense. So the Steelers defense is probably the best, if not the second best defense to have. Josh Palmer is a pretty big sleeper. I think he's going to be the number 2 behind Keenan Allen after probably 4 or 5 weeks. I know they got a lot of young guys there, but I've heard a lot of good things about Josh Palmer. So I could definitely see this team making the playoffs, maybe even making it close to the finals. Maybe like a top 4. I'd probably give it like a nice 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I also agree. Great little value picks. Between the 4th and honestly even the 8th round. Jalen Hurts, he's probably the next best like dual threat quarterback that was drafted after Lamar. We took him in the 5th. So
I didn't really touch on Hollywood Brown enough either. I mean, he's always got that potential to be like to get like number 1 receiver numbers because he's like the top guy there in Baltimore too. So
yeah.
They just don't throw the ball enough, so it's all right. I mean, as a 4th receiver, it's not terrible.
Yeah. So Team Barry won the Victory Lap League last year. He started talking shit in the live stream a little bit, saying, "Hey, thanks for another easy dub." His team is pretty solid. So Tyreek Hill, Najee Harris, CeeDee Lamb, pretty good first 3 rounds. Honestly, Miles Sanders in the 4th round is pretty good. I know people have their woes about Miles Sanders, but I mean that offense just doesn't have a lot of talent. I definitely think 4th round is not that bad. Beginning 4th round, not as good as like middle or late 4th round, but still decent. Aaron Rodgers, a little early on him. But I mean, you're taking last year's MVP. No one's gonna really harp on you that bad. I'm not a big believer in Jamar Chase. There's a lot of decent wide receiver talent in Cincinnati, but 6th round ain't bad. I'm not huge on Robert Tonyan at all this year. I know he went off last year, but it was very touchdown dependent, and there's just no way that happens again. So I will say his bench is really good. Deshaun Watson in the 12th could end up being amazing for like trade value too. But besides that, overall, I probably give this like an 8.2. Probably makes the playoffs like with the 6th or 5th seed, in my opinion.
I agree. I think it's a pretty good team.
Maybe 4th. Just kind of depends on Najee Harris. Taking that rookie running back is going to be a huge dependent on.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, it's tough to take a rookie running back as your number 1 running back. I just don't feel confident enough to do that.
Yeah.
Because Noah got burnt last year on Clyde.
Yeah, that was just a why not? Because
I mean, I don't even think it's not even Clyde's fault, honestly. I think it was. Well, we'll get into it later, but yeah, Le'Veon Bell broke that apart. But I'll skip our team.
Yeah, let's do ours last. Yeah, we'll do ours.
All right. And then I'll go with bowling with Buffalo. So looks like Will's team.
Yep.
This is one of my least favorite teams, honestly. I mean, honestly, like I said before, like all the teams look pretty good, honestly, on paper. I mean, it's going to change in a couple of weeks. Like, oh, that team looks awful. But Diggs was early. I think Montgomery was early. I like the Waller pick. I don't mind Josh Allen in that spot. But with the current running backs on this team, and even my receivers just having Diggs, it's a little tough for me. And I know Mike Davis is maybe not a terrible value in the 6, but I could see him he's a starting running back because he's really the only other option, which who knows if they have a younger guy that breaks out or Davis gets hurt. I mean, I'm not big on Mike Davis, to be honest. I've made my woes about Jarvis Landry and Corey Davis both as well. So those are my two like guys I would not touch. I do like Robbie Anderson in the 7th. Though I think compared to DJ Moore, who's going, I think, 1 to 3rd. And I think no pull up the stat. I think Robbie caught 93 passes last year. So I think that could be a good value for Will in the 7th round, though. Naheem's a decent pick in the 10th, I would say as well. I don't mind McKissick as well. So his bench there's a couple pieces I like, but overall, I mean, like I said, most of these teams are pretty good. It's just, for me, it's one of my least favorites. I'd probably give it like a 5-2.
Damn.
It's very top heavy between Diggs, Waller, Josh Allen. I mean,
yeah. If those guys have bad weeks, then he's
I mean, half of his points are probably going to come from 3 players each week. And we've talked about the first 3 episodes. Like we prefer the running back core be the focus of a team. Obviously, there's going to be certain situations in your drafts where it doesn't make sense to be running back heavy depending on how the draft's going. But you can see with our draft, and we'll get to our team final evaluation a little bit. I mean, we had no choice but to be running back heavy the way the draft went.
Right. From experience, though, like last year, I had in one of my leagues, I had Josh Allen and Diggs, and it was a good time. Like Stephon Diggs, I got as my number 3 receiver somehow last year. Kind of a little bit of backstory behind my shirt. It was my dad's league, and I was in the championship. I was down 60 something points, and I had Josh Allen and Diggs, and I don't remember who they played. Was it the Patriots?
Was it Steelers or?
I think it was the Patriots. Because they were murdering someone, but Stephon Diggs had 3 touchdowns. I ended up winning by like 10, 15 points. And I was down 60 with those 2. So my brother for my birthday got me this shirt solely for that reason because they carried me to the championship.
That's fire.
if Stephon Diggs is scoring 2 touchdowns a week, that those two guys are gonna, and Darren Waller, like those guys, because I had Darren Waller on that same team, so those 3 guys can slowly carry you to a championship. Because I had, this is the best team I ever drafted, so it's gonna be a little bit of a flex right here, but I had Aaron Jones and Derrick Henry as my running backs too. And they combined for a good 8 points in the finals. So I'm like, really, this is the week you're going to do that to me? So I got bailed by Darren Waller, and then Ayuk had 1. I do remember that. Brandon Ayuk had 1 point. So that was another reason, because I was doing starting someone else over him too. And I'm like, so yeah, those 3 carried me last year in the championship game. So I don't want to dog on that too much, just because from experience. So, but I could definitely see, like, throughout the whole roster why you would give it a 5 out of 10.
I mean, and like I said, it's a good team. Like, it's a good team on paper, like all these teams. But if I had to stack them up with the rest of them, just personal preference too. I know we have different philosophies, even though we're pretty similar.
If those 3 underperform, you're losing. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. No, you want to do Mr. Whitfield's team?
Sure. So I absolutely love Devontae Adams at 8 here. Sadly, he ruined it with picking Joe Mixon over Jonathan Taylor. That was probably one of my least favorite picks of the draft. I've said how much I hate Joe Mixon, and I would never take him. The fact that he took him and let us have Jonathan Taylor, I'm not going to question that. So
say thank you and walk away.
Right. And I'm sure Joe Mixon will go off this year because of me saying all that. Having Devontae, you can say Devontae Adams is the top receiver in fantasy, right?
I agree.
You have the top receiver in fantasy. You have the top quarterback in fantasy. Like, that right there is going to be fun to watch. You got a lot of prime time you're going to be watching it with Amari Cooper too. The running back situation I am not a fan of at all. Javonte Williams, yeah, he's one of those guys that we were talking about earlier. Like, when you have the guys you have in your lineup, then you take someone like him where he could eventually win you the league in the long run because he's a rookie. They're going to ease him in. Melvin Gordon's probably going to start week 1. They'll split. It's going to be a nightmare in that backfield for a while. But I think he's going to eventually be the starter, kind of like Dobbins last year. Like, he didn't do too much in the first half. He came out the second half of the season doing amazing, like scoring most of the rushing touchdowns. So who's their third? Kenyon Drake, Zach. Oh my god,
I know. I was just looking at that after.
And you have Brandon Cooks as your flex. Devontae Smith, like I said, safe pick right there. I like that.
Yeah, that is a great
Mecole Hardman, I do really like this pick, actually. That might be my favorite pick here. I think he's going to be the true number 2 in KC this year.
Great 12th round pick.
Yeah, I like that. That's even a possibility to start in the flex at some point after a few weeks.
Especially with Patrick Mahomes at the quarterback, you get the nice little combo situation.
Right. If I'm him though, I'm praying that like Hardman or Devontae Smith start off really well, right, and then you want to trade one of them.
Yeah,
for a running back.
Yeah,
because Javonte Williams, I don't hate him, just not in that value. So I'd probably say this is one of my least favorite teams. And even with Devontae and Patrick Mahomes, like, you got to have other stuff that you're like confident in, because as much as, Patrick Mahomes could put up 5 touchdowns, Devontae Adams scores 2 or 3. That's going to be what, like 60 points total?
Very similar situation with Will's team.
Right. Except one less player.
Right.
That you can count. Like, Amari Cooper could be pretty good. I mean, there's so many targets there. And
this is definitely a better team than Will's, by the way. I'm not saying like they're the same.
Yeah. So, I mean, Amari Cooper's got the potential to be up there too. But yeah, the amount of targets there, how injury prone he is. I don't know. Logan Thomas as well. I don't know. I'm always iffy on Logan Thomas because he was all right. I mean, he had a couple like big games, but that was about it.
Yeah.
I don't care for this team. Like, I'd probably pick them to finish in the bottom 3. I'd probably give it like a 5 out of 10.
No, it's
literally those 5 points are solely from Devontae Adams and Patrick Mahomes. And and a couple, and like Devontae Smith, Mecole Hardman. Like, those are the only picks I like in this draft.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go.
That's fair. I'm kind of projecting him to finish like 9th.
Yeah, I got like 10 or 11.
But like we said, if he can get, I don't know if Dave is into trading players, but if he can pull some trades off, he might have a chance.
He's gotta hope some of his late round guys start off well.
Okay. On to the next team that took Justin Fields. We talked earlier how we'll see our full team. Here's the full team. Derrick Henry, awesome at 5 because Stephon went for great value. Derrick Henry 5. Calvin Ridley, back middle side is 2. Love that pick. Allen Robinson, early mid, 3rd. Again, love that pick. Chase Edmonds in the 4th is kind of tough for RB2. I mean, we saw earlier some of the other running backs going in the 4th round still. And it was not great. Like I probably would have rather take like Daryl Henderson. I just can't remember all of them right now. I was just looking at these other teams, but a lot of them went wide receiver in the 4th round. Justin Fields in the 5th, obviously very questionable, but Russell Wilson in the 6th. Kareem Hunt. So, I mean, no, not a great like RB2 situation. I guess Chase Edmonds, if he holds his production great, as he did for a decent amount last year, but I think there's a lot of question marks on his head. Who's the backup running back in Arizona?
James Conner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's not like a terrible amount of competition. So not terrible. Also, it's kind of good with PPR, so I'll give her a little good on you for that. Kareem Hunt, 7th round, decent pick. Tyler Higbee. Like I don't love it. I don't hate it. I think that's just like an okay pick. Love Antonio Brown in the 9th round. If Mike Evans or Godwin are hurt, like he's like a must start. Devontae Parker getting a little old. Jamal Williams, why? Tony Pollard, probably one of the best like handcuff. I know she doesn't have Zeke. We have Zeke, but like one of the best like guys to draft every year, depending on like the starter's health. So I kind of like that. Michael Pittman in the 13th is a fucking amazing pick. I love that pick so much. Colts defense, decent. Man, this would be like an almost no-brainer for her to make the playoffs if she hadn't taken Justin Fields. Like, I'm really getting like 7th, 6th place vibes with this team.
That flex is gonna be tough.
If she could have taken another running back at the Justin Fields pick instead of like Kareem Hunt, and then taken like another receiver at Kareem Hunt's spot, it'd be a top 4 team. So I'll give it a 7.4 out of 10, and I think she'll finish 6th or 7th.
Yeah, I really like the team, but you've said everything pretty much. The Justin Fields pick, it's kind of like not having a 5th round pick, which is a valuable pick.
Yeah, 100%.
But I'll go to the next team, which looks like it's Ryan's, which I think I put last in my power rankings. Now looking at it, maybe I disagree with that, my own sentiment.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I had to put somebody last now. It is kind of, I don't know. But I mean,
not amazing, but
not amazing. I think it's probably a middle road team.
Yeah.
This is a team I don't feel actually that strongly about. I don't know why I put them last. I mean, Aaron Jones is Aaron Jones. Maybe it's because I think AJ Dillon's going to go off this year, whether that be injury or just because the Packers are weird and they do things like that, which I do see that he has AJ Dillon. So maybe that doesn't matter for him. Kelsey at 14, I think is a pretty good darn value for Ryan there, even though it is, tight end and he didn't take a receiver until the 4th round, kind of like us, but he did redeem himself and take Robert Woods, which I like in the 4th.
I absolutely hate Kenny Galladay. Oh my God.
I don't like Kenny Galladay. T. Higgins, I like T. Higgins, but with Jamar Chase and Tyler Boyd, it's just competing for targets with a line that's pretty darn bad. And then the rest of his draft, nothing I really stood out to me, honestly.
I really like Mike Williams in the 10th.
Mike Williams that's not bad. I mean, I guess I don't know enough about Elijah Moore to have a strong opinion. Latavius Murray, just even if Kamara gets hurt, I don't see Latavius. I mean, he's a guy you start, but not a guy that you win a league with, in my opinion. And then the rest of Trey Lance, Tua, or whatever, to be honest, but I'm not big on Aguilar either. So it's not a bad team. I probably shouldn't put them last, but it's not my favorite. Carson's always hurt, his second running back. So you guys might be a little higher than I am, but I would still put it at bottom half team, honestly, like 8th to 12th.
Yeah, so, I was thinking like 8 or 9.
6.6.
Okay. Is this one you know or right? Yeah.
Great Mark scene. This is Brett, isn't it?
Yeah, this is Brett.
So this is actually probably my favorite team other than ours. His receivers are very good. Keenan Allen, AJ Brown, DJ Moore with Dalvin Cook. I think that right there, Travis Etienne is a second running back. I think for now, I think those first four picks are good enough where it won't matter really how Etienne produces. Like if he puts up 7 points, 8 points a week, I think that's more than enough because I absolutely love Justin Herbert this year. And having that Herbert to Keenan Allen duo is going to be very fun to watch, especially since he's a Charger fan. So that's even better. But DJ Moore is number 3 receiver. I'm very high on DJ Moore this year. Yeah, I love this team. Noah Fant in the 7th round. Yeah, maybe I'd take Hawkinson over him, but I think the value's still there. I think he's going to be Drew Lock's favorite target this year in the red zone. I think, you got Cortland Sutton and Judy, but towards the end of last year, Noah Fant got a lot of targets, even with Sutton out, but it seemed like they had a lot of chemistry together, so I think the value there is really good. I already mentioned how much I love Debo Samuel this year, so having Debo as his 5th receiver, geez.
Yeah.
Tyler Boyd.
I think this is the best looking bench we've seen.
Yeah, I think Tyler Boyd's iffy. I don't really trust any of those receivers in Cincinnati, to be consistent. He took a lot of receivers. Damn. He took Debo. Jalen Reagor can get targets. Cole Beasley, not bad. He did well in fantasy last year. Paris Campbell, that's tough to tell because of his injuries, and who knows what's going to happen with the Colts passing game. Gus Edwards, great pick in the 13th round.
I agree.
That man got a lot of carries regardless. Even though with Dobbins and Lamar running as much as they do, Gus Edwards still got a lot of touches. Gus Edwards kind of makes me compare him a little to Mike Davis, how the skill is. Mike Davis just has less guys to worry about, taking his snaps. But I think Gus Edwards could put up the same kind of value as Mike Davis because I think the Falcons will throw the ball a lot. And when they're in the red zone, you got Calvin Ridley and Kyle Pitts to focus on. I mean, Mike Davis will obviously do better than Gus Edwards solely off touches, but I think Gus Edwards could have that same value. Especially obviously if Lamar or J.K. Dobbins goes down, but even with Dobbins there, that man gets enough carries where he could put up running back 3, running back, even running back 2 numbers because he always gets those random ass touchdowns and he'll probably steal a couple of our Dobbins touchdowns this year just for the fact because Harbaugh wants to, you never even know what they're going to do with that run game. So
yeah,
I really like Gus Edwards a lot. I think he could be a plug-in flex every now and then. If you're really desperate, he'll get you some points. He'll get you probably maybe even 8 to 10 touches.
Yeah.
If you're lucky, you'll get that touchdown. So Ebron, don't. That pick, it's a 14th round, so that pick really doesn't matter too much. Broncos defense is pretty good. They play the Giants week 1, so that'll be a pretty good starting week, especially if Saquon doesn't play. So I kind of like the Broncos defense this whole year too. I think they're gonna be pretty good. They got Kyle Fuller from the Bears. They drafted a couple of young guys, Surtain, Caden Stearns. I like them a lot. So, I mean, obviously, I'm biased. I like our team the best. I think Brett's team would probably be my next favorite. So I give this probably like a 9.3 out of 10.
Definitely a top 3 team. I think definitely a top 3 team.
Yeah, I think Seth also nailed it in his power rankings. You're going to hit on him more, but this next team you're going to talk about, I think, might be up there as well.
Yeah.
Once you hit on that.
Yeah, Seth. So if you want, this
Sure.
one, I'll take the
Yeah.
last one.
Yeah, so this next team is
Auto
pretty
draft.
up there in my. Yeah, I know. Maybe it's because maybe we like it because like half the players that we were going to take were
Yeah, right.
taken by auto draft here. But I mean, you look at the first 2 picks, let alone Barkley and Clyde. Those could be honestly top 5 running backs each this year. That's without question. And then you look at the receivers he got in Terry and Ayuk, and even Fuller. I know he's only gonna miss 2 games, so I like that pick in the 7th, to be honest. Chenault, he's got upside. Jalen Wallace got upside. Jacoby Myers, even they've said that in training camp and everything, he's looked like the stud. And I think Mac Jones is gonna come in and be the starter and help the fantasy receivers for New England. There as well. I think Henderson the 4th is a darn solid for your running back 3 as well. Kind of like the strategy that we went with and going with 3 running backs. I like Henderson as RB3. Dak in a 6 if he's healthy. That's the one thing that kind of scares me a little bit.
Yep, he
I know
might not start week 1.
His shoulder is kind of, and I don't know if like Russ was there at 6 or not, but in the 6, I know he won the 6, but I don't know if he was there available to him.
I think Dak went right before Russ.
Yeah, so I would have probably taken Russ just for. I think Dak's upside's higher.
It is.
But
Yeah.
It's if I didn't, because if Dak's gonna miss, a couple games though, it's gonna be tough. Because he didn't really
top 3 quarterback.
Yeah, he looks like he didn't take a second quarterback, which is, if you got Dak,
that is ballsy, especially with the injury-prone quarterback.
But I don't know, the waiver wire. You're probably gonna be starting Kirk Cousins which he can give you decent weeks, but that's the flaw of this team. I could see, if Dak gets hurt, and then Goddard at tight end, another guy we were gonna take at our tight end position. I like that pick. And then Malcolm Brown. Oh, I thought Malcolm Brown was on the what's his face, the Rams. I didn't realize he was on the Dolphins.
Gaskin's backup.
But he does have a couple backups like in Connor and Brown, who I don't think the starters are that locked into their position. So if they struggle, those guys could take some of the starting abilities. I don't think they're gonna be like true RB1s because their situations are kind of iffy, but they could be the RB1s in their situation, which could obviously be beneficial to him. So all in all, I pretty much love this team. It's right up there with, I think, with Brett's and ours as well.
Yeah. So what would you rank it? What do you think their season seed will finish with?
I think a top 3 seed, honestly, for me. And I know I gave the other team I really liked a little lower than I probably should have, but I'll give this team like an 8, 9. So right up there.
Healthy,
sure. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. This last team we're gonna look at before we look at ours. This is a well thought out team. I think they had a plan and they stuck to it. So Austin Eckler, 9th overall. We mentioned earlier, maybe a little early. I think in that spot he could have had, what was it? He could have had Tyreek. He could have had Aaron Jones. So not terrible. I still love Eckler. Antonio Gibson. Not a lot of questions about Antonio Gibson not being in on third downs the games he's played in the preseason so far. So that's kind of interesting. But I do think Antonio Gibson, for the most part, is going to have a fantastic year. That's a tough spot to like. It's just tough to take him with all the news about him right now, but I think he'll still be solid. George Kittle, mentioned earlier, how I didn't really want to take him until like the end of third round coming off the injury. But I mean, George Kittle's still a fucking beast. Love Tyler Lockett, and end side of the or beginning side of the fourth round. Some people don't like Tyler Lockett, but I love Tyler Lockett. Cortland Sutton, he's questionable. And I think Jerry Jeudy has the potential to take over wide receiver 1. Juju, maybe a little early for Juju. That wide receiver spot for the Steelers is very interesting right now between him, Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool. It's kind of a gamble. I think between all of them, I'd probably rather have the other two guys before Juju right now. So he has Raheem Mostert and Trey Sermon. I think that's a fantastically smart idea. I mentioned earlier how I think they're going to be a run-first offense, and he's pretty much ensured himself he's going to have the starting running back for the 49ers all season. Fantastic play. I think that really fucking hurts the Raheem Mostert pick if he isn't able to get Trey Sermon there in the 9th round, and it paid off. The little gamble definitely paid off, and he had Michael Thomas right in between those two. He's pretty decent at wide receiver already, or he was kind of okay George Kittle is pretty much another receiver though, for being honest. So, but Tyler Lockett, Cortland Sutton, Juju, maybe a little risky, like not the most solid set of wide receivers to try to go for Michael Thomas there, but he's thinking long-term, he's thinking playoffs. So, I mean, if Michael Thomas is back healthy, I mean, you plug Michael Thomas to those guys, and you're looking at Eckler, Antonio Gibson, George Kittle, Tyler Lockett, Michael Thomas, and Raheem, the starting running back for the 49ers, basically. Matt Stafford in the 10th is fucking awesome. Really love that pick. I think that is one of the best value quarterbacks in fantasy every year. Washington defense in the 14th round. I think they're going to finish. Their schedule is very easy for a team that just won their division. So, I mean, overall, this has the potential to be a top 3 team, depending on Michael Thomas and Antonio Gibson's situation. Overall, I think this team will finish 4th in the regular season. And I give it a 8.4. So all that's left is our team now. We'll look at our team, and then we'll look at our week 1 matchup. I love our team for the most part.
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I think, I know we kind of reiterated most of what we've, when we went over the draft, but the biggest thing that stands out with our team is I think we got plenty of upside. We got safe picks, like we mentioned before, when Zeke and, Taylor. But, Dobbins, while he's somewhat safe, he's also got tons of upside as well. Same with Jerry Jeudy, Michael Carter, Darnell Mooney, Irv Smith, Rondell Moore. I think all these guys have, potential to be top 20 guys at the position, in my opinion.
Yeah. Kind of scary that Michael Carter hasn't gotten like the best report card so far out of the first 2 weeks of preseason. So that's a little worrisome. But also we're kind of taking the risk that we were talking about on him because we already had 3 great running backs, obviously. So we can kind of take a chance on a guy there that has the potential to have a really high ceiling. There's still another week of preseason, and the Jets are going to be very bad. They're going to be trying out a lot of stuff this year. So I think that's still fine in the 8th round. No.
Yeah, I agree. We're all about the upside. It's all we talk about. Where I think my favorite pick is Lamar Jackson. I really didn't expect us to get like a quarterback like that because we weren't thinking of Mahomes at all or like a Josh Allen. So I was just kind of expecting us to get like a 8th round, 9th round quarterback. But it came to the point where, we couldn't decide on a receiver in the 5th round. So we're like, screw it, let's go Lamar Jackson. Like, why not? I mean, my previous times with Lamar Jackson, I've had success. So I think as a 5th round pick, having that and J.K. Dobbins were basically guaranteed points whenever the Ravens score. And that's a lot of rushing yards for us too. So let alone us having Ezekiel Elliott and Jonathan Taylor to go with that. And Cooper Kupp. Like, I think this first 5 picks are by far, obviously it's probably biased, by far my favorite out of any team. And I think I think he's going to do really well this year.
Yeah, I mean, just speaking about value perspective side of fantasy football drafts, I mean, we've arguably got the best value picks in the 1st and 2nd round. I mean,
Yeah. That's the thing. We don't even need like Odell to do well. I think with all the receivers we took behind him, one of those guys is going to be worth putting in the wide receiver 2 spot.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried at all. Like Marquez Callaway, like no one's even talking about this guy, but who the heck is Jameis going to throw to in New Orleans? Michael Thomas is hurt. Jared Cook's gone. Yeah, Kamara will be there. But like Traquan Smith,
I forgot their tight end's name.
Troutman.
Huh?
Troutman.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah.
Like someone's got to catch the ball. And I think if we're talking about value, that's got to be one of the top value picks in the draft because I think the Saints will probably be throwing the ball a lot. I mean, half the time probably to Kamara, but someone else has got to catch the ball. And I think Marquez Callaway is going to be the top receiver there. From what I've read, he already is. I mean, it could be Traquan Smith, but that's a guy we could possibly even start week 1 if we're really thinking about it.
Yeah.
He could get a lot of targets.
We
have the Rams defense.
Yeah.
We didn't even talk about that. The 3rd to last pick, the Rams defense is the best in the NFL, in my opinion. Maybe the Steelers. Maybe.
Yeah, the Rams defense might not be like the number 1 like fantasy from like a fantasy side just because they have a harder schedule and they play in a hard division. But like their defense is super stacked. They have a really good defense.
Look who they play week 1. Andy Dalton.
Yeah, Bears.
So yeah, that should be like a guaranteed defensive touchdown week 1.
Yeah. I would say my top 3 teams then, I mean, I'm definitely including ours. I don't care if it's biased, but I think it's us. Here, scroll up real quick, just make sure I'm not forgetting. No, it's I think it's us, Brett, and either the last team we did or
Packers back.
We'll scroll up one more time. Right. I did like Katie's, or I think her name is Katie.
I do like this team. I think obviously the Fields pick was.
Yeah, I like Dingle these berries. Team Barry. I forget where he's at. Where's Team Barry? Team Barry's was also very solid. I would say those are like my top 4 teams. I'll just say that top 4 teams, no particular order. Us, Team Barry, Dingle these berries, and Brett's team.
I give mine top 4 probably be us, Brett. I do like this team right here a lot, the one I touched on first. That's probably my 3rd one. My 4th one would probably be. See, I really like this team still, even with the Justin Fields pick. I'm a fan of it. Like I said, Justin Fields has the potential to be a fantasy quarterback. Obviously, it doesn't matter with Russ. Kareem Hunt's a perfect flex option. You got some other options there, but I do like this team. I think these first 3 picks especially are going to carry them.
Yeah.
Chase Edmonds could be a little iffy in the 4th, but I think he'll get enough touches where I don't know. I do like this team though.
Yeah. I think she's right there, like from my side, like she's kind of in one of those spots where, depending on how trading goes, obviously trading is going to change everything, but just like preseason projections, I think she's going to be in one of those spots right now with this team where coming down to week 14, so like the last week of regular season, she's going to be like tied with like 2 or 3 other teams fighting for like that last spot of the, like getting in the playoffs.
Agreed. I think we can all probably agree that like an us versus Brett championship game is what we all like right now.
Yeah, I know
Seth likes the auto
Seth,
draft.
Seth
too.
likes our
No,
team.
I think I can't remember exact my power rankings, but Brett's was definitely up there. Ours was definitely up there, and like the 3 that we mentioned was definitely up there. The team that Noah liked, I think the Cone team. I think I put a little bit lower than maybe I should have, but all in all, I
Gotta
think
be
we have a pretty fair sentiment of
Yeah.
what we think the teams they're going to do successful.
Yeah. Also, I know Seth's been doing a good job not giving too much away. That's on his blog. So like I mentioned earlier, go check out Victor Lap Media Twitter page. His blog will be reposted on there either today, Sunday, or tomorrow, Monday, the 23rd. All right. So we play Zach's team week 1. He obviously got Christian McCaffrey first pick overall, so that's not favorable to have to play Christian McCaffrey twice. As most, is there 13 regular season games or 4? It's just 13, isn't it?
No, it'll be 14 now with the extra week.
Okay, so everyone will play 3 teams twice, and one of them for us is going to have to be Zach. So not very favorable to have to play Christian McCaffrey twice in the regular season.
The other thing too with James Robinson, who's probably going to start week 1, especially against the Texans, that kind of sucks for us too.
But at least the next time we're going to play Zach is like, it's going to be against like NT. I'm assuming Travis Etienne is going to have the role by week.
Hopefully the Colts defense
12.
locks down Metcalf. I do like the Ravens D against Josh Jacobs here.
Yeah, they're gonna want to rotate Kenyon Drake into that matchup.
That means we got Lamar and Dobbins versus the Raiders.
That'll be nice.
Zeke, we get to watch the first game. That'll be cool.
Yeah.
JT plays.
That should be a pretty high scoring game. I know people rave about the Tampa Bay defense, but I think Dak's going to be out for some blood if he's healthy.
We got the Rams defense. I think they're going to do a lot this week, or the week 1.
Yeah.
Yep.
Obviously, the projection does not look great, but like we said, unlucky that James Robinson is in our week 1 match again, going up against him in our week 1 matchup, but we'll see. These projections will probably change a little bit between now and 2 Thursdays from now. So we'll go over it the episode before the first week too. But you guys got anything else you want to touch on?
I think we touched just about everything.
All right. Well, sounds good. Again, appreciate you guys listening. A little bit of a longer episode, but there's a lot more to cover. Once the season gets going, we'll obviously we got one more week. We'll try to come up with some fun for next week because the season's not going yet. But once the season does get started, we're basically going to be focused on week-to-week performances. And then we're going to talk about waiver wire pickups. And then we're going to talk about funny stuff that goes on in our league, or a team that maybe only puts up like 55 points or something funny like that, just like kind of fry them. There should be a decent amount of trash talking in any fantasy football league, but we'll never go too far. We'll definitely keep it in moderation, and we got to take it if we're going to dish it out too. So I'm sure we'll take some as well. But besides that, again, if you're watching this on YouTube right now, which it's the only way to watch this. If you could subscribe, we really appreciate it. Once we get to 1,000 subscribers, possibly during the football season, we'll be able to live stream us watching some of these games, especially some of those primetime games. Me and Noah are huge Bears fans. I edited a couple of videos last year of just recording myself watching some of the Bears games with my friends, raging, obviously, because last year was frustrating. So hopefully you get to do some of that. So we get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube before the season starts, that'd be awesome. Also, if you have questions, we also like the weekly lineup questions. If you have a question mark about like maybe one of your flex players or a defense you want to start, like always just shoot us like a comment or a reply on one of our tweets or DM us. We'd love to talk about it. So thanks again. Appreciate you guys listening. It's been a lot of fun. We love talking about fantasy football. So getting closer and closer every week, only 2 weeks away. So looking forward to a fun season, and hopefully we kick everyone's ass in this victory lap league. So looking forward to the season starting. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you guys next week. Peace.